Hello and welcome to What's Bugging You. We're your hosts, Chesley and Brian Victor, and today we're talking about midsummer pests.
But before that, we're going to have a message from our presenting sponsor.
Preventive Pest Control. Taking care of the pests you see and the ones you don't see. Preventive Pest Control. It's as simple as that.
Today we have with us Mike Swanson. He's our commercial account manager, trainer extraordinaire for our company, associate certified entomologist, and he'll be here talking with us about some of the pests that we generally see this time of year.
Yeah, it's a hot summer, lots of bugs.
How much experience do you have? You've been doing this for a while now, right?
Yeah, about 14 years now.
Yeah, 14 years.
Absolutely.
So what kind of calls you seen out there coming in?
It's a lot. I mean, we're definitely getting calls, people asking about ants. Of course, we get that all year round. Cockroaches, spiders, mosquitoes, flies. A lot of stuff to talk about.
What are some things that people can do on their own to take care of it? Say mosquitoes and.
Well, yeah, let's start talking about mosquitoes. So mosquitoes. Anybody in Albuquerque is no stranger to mosquitoes. We're going to start seeing them more and more as the summer progresses. Things people can do to reduce the number of mosquitoes around their house is just make sure you don't have standing water. If you have an old tire, flower pots, things like that, they're holding water, you make sure that's tipped over. Sometimes if your gutters aren't clean, the mosquitoes can hang out in there, right? Even just puddles that persist for a long period of time, the mosquitoes are pretty creative.
And probably most importantly, wear lots of off and long sleeve shirts, right? That kind of thing.
Make sure that those screens on your windows are in good shape and don't have any gaps or tears in them.
Yeah, that's the main thing. There's not a whole lot you can do, unfortunately, to treat for mosquitoes around your house because they can travel long distances. And so really you just have to work on prevention. So like you said, yeah, absolutely screens and then insect repellent, definitely. That's what I do.
Yeah, how about flies? You do the same thing for flies? I know in my house when it starts raining this time of year, and I have a dog, get some flies coming around. What's some things we could do for that?
Yeah, definitely. With flies, you do have some power. So, making sure you do clean up after your dog outside is a great idea. Make sure when you take your trash out that you've got it in good, sealed bags. And there are things you can do. You can get products over the counter at a hardware store. There are these fly traps that have a repellent that dissolves in water and attracts flies, and you can catch them by the thousands. I think a good thing to note with those is to put them away from where you want to hang out. So if you're going to have a picnic in your backyard or dinner out by the grill, put it on the other side of the yard to attract them over there because they kind of stink too.
Yeah. I think Chesley would agree. We've been doing this for 27 years now. I think probably the biggest summer pest has got to be ants.
Definitely ants.
Yeah.
I think if we had nothing but ants calls, well, we'd still be busy all the time. There's like over 200 species of ants in New Mexico. We have a few that we focus on that tend to be problematic for the house and for structures. But they definitely keep us busy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's the big three, right, that we deal with in Albuquerque. Everybody calls it the sugar ant, right? It's a little black ant, and the real name for that species is the odorous house ant. But that's the one we see all over Albuquerque. Little trails going across your kitchen counter. Things people can do for that. Really, you can make sure that you've got your food sealed in the pantry. Clean up spills, that sort of thing, but really ants are going to come regardless.
Yeah, I'd say this is a non-discriminatory ants. We get them in squeaky clean houses just as much as dirty houses.
Absolutely. We see them in vacant houses where nobody's living.
And they're a pain to take care of sometimes.
They sure are.
Takes some in-depth work.
Yeah, ants are tricky. Those are hard to treat alone. Finding a pest control company that can do a thorough exterior treatment, finding where the ants live, impacted by the foundation, along with doing interior treatments, really is where you get control. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's definitely some, over-the-counter baits that will help a little bit. And, if it's a small problem, small colony, you can wipe them out pretty quickly with some baits. But if those don't work, sometimes really you've just got to call in the professionals, bring in the big guns on those.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things people ask me a lot about when we're visiting homes and businesses, when they see those ant mounds that pop up in the yard or in the brick, in your patio outdoors, and then associate those with the ants that are showing up in the kitchen. But actually, they're usually not even the same species. And the ones that you're seeing out in the yard are never going to come inside. And so people kind of focus on those when really that's not the issue, it can be tricky.
Is there something they could do about the ants in the yard?
Yeah, there are over-the-counter baits that work pretty well. Again, you can call a pest control professional as well. But they're actually pretty easy to treat. Absolutely.
Was it? There's the over-counter, like the granule bait they put on those.
Yeah, the granules work really well, and they have a pretty low toxicity, so it's one of the better things to use around the house.
Is there anything to? I know people always say they get bitten by ants or stung by ants, and there's a kind of a difference. But is there anything to worry about? It's more, I think it's mostly if they're allergic to something, right?
Yeah, I mean, the worst ant sting that we have around here is going to be from the harvester ant. Those are the ones that are kind of a red and black color, and you see them out parking lots, vacant lots, that sort of thing. They have a real spread out low ant mound, but they do have kind of a painful sting. It'll be similar to like a bee sting, but again, yeah, people may be allergic and have a worse reaction, but that's not terribly common, and you don't get those indoors. On the west side of Albuquerque, we do deal with some fire ants, and those can have painful stings as well, but again, it's nothing worse than a mild bee sting, at the most.
Yeah, another pest we have a big time problem with around here is, and a lot of questions about, is obviously what's our logo, our the black widow spider. And I know in the summertime you start seeing a prevalence of those. Like I remember when I was a technician, you'd see them like on playground equipment or toys in the yard or just everywhere, cracks in the walls and everything. So is there anything we could?
Oh yeah, black widows are ubiquitous right there. You can go into any yard in Albuquerque and know where to look, and you could find at least half a dozen black widows. They're everywhere. And I think that speaks to how rare the bites are, if you think about really how many of those spiders are in town, and the bites are relatively uncommon. So to get bit by one of those spiders, you really have to kind of go out of your way. That said, I would say don't mess with them and just leave them be. If you're worried about them, certainly you can use, insecticides or call a company to get rid of them, but they're beneficial, really. Yeah. I mean, they take care of a lot of the bugs that we don't want to have around the house, right? So
yeah, they're pretty docile. They pretty much stay in their web and their harborage there and waiting for kind of prey to come land in there, and they'll go get it. But I think most bites are probably when someone puts their hand inadvertently underneath something, and that's where the spider is at or something.
Yeah, or one gets inside for some reason, and somebody rolls over onto it, something like that.
And their webs are real easy to identify. They're not the pretty Charlotte's Web patterned webs that you see, and they're the pattern's basically real erratic, and it's real. I've actually heard once, I don't know if it's true, maybe you do, is that it's some of the black widow web is some of the strongest, I don't know, tension or fiber in nature.
It could well be, yeah. I know you're absolutely right. I would describe their webs as kind of dirty and unkept. They're random, and they'll get leaves and other debris in there, and they don't bother cleaning it out. So it looks like maybe it's an old, unused web, but no, the spiders will hang out there with. I think maybe it works as camouflage. Who knows?
Yeah,
but they do have very strong silk.
Yeah, there's usually like some crack or hole that the spider will be in, and then it won't come out. In the evening times when I usually see him, you walk around the yard and you'll see him actually out on the web, kind of hanging upside down.
There's one I see every night. I go out to water in the backyard, and there's one that has a web underneath the spigot for the hose, and I just don't bug her, and she's just out there catching bugs. And
yeah. My experience is most people don't even know they have them. I mean,
that's right.
There's so many black widows in every yard in Albuquerque, and people don't even know they have them because they are kind of hidden until the nighttime they come out, or they're not visible. You move something, you'll see it, but they're pretty docile,
And even more than the black widows, we get so many calls, people saying, I have a brown recluse, and I have this, and I have that.
That's scary talk. There.
It is. And I think that there's a lot of kind of unwarranted fear and kind of pandemonium about those. We really don't have, it's possible to have a brown recluse here in Albuquerque that maybe was transported in a box from somewhere else where they're
down south or somewhere.
Yeah, indigenous. It's potentially possible to have one here, but I tell you what, I've been in the business for 14 years, and I've never found one in Albuquerque, period.
All the doctors seem to say that every bite's a brown recluse bite.
Yeah, that's interesting, Yeah, I think there's a lot of misidentification all over the place in terms of those bites.
Yeah, whereas the black widow is fairly easy to identify with the big abdomen and shiny appearance and stuff. It's really easy to see a brown recluse in just about any spider out there and assume that that's what it is.
Yeah,
and
you're absolutely right.
And with the fear that comes along with those, and people see these images on the internet, brown recluse bite, and you see big sores and black spots, and you definitely don't want that, and it's something you should be aware of, but definitely a rare thing to see around here.
Yeah, the two big ones that get misidentified that I've seen are the wolf spiders and the southern house spider, that both kind of big and brownish and scary looking, but both of those are completely harmless and, native, and we have them all over the place, and they're also beneficial.
Yeah, I guess transition here. Speaking of big and brown and scary, is there's a lot of cockroaches this time of year in the evenings.
I've been out walking at night recently, just when it gets a little bit cooler, and I'm just amazed at the number of roaches running all over the sidewalks once the sun goes down.
Yeah, it used to be, you'd say, oh, you have roaches, you must live by UNM, but they're everywhere. Right? They're absolutely everywhere, all over the city, west side, far northeast heights.
Yeah, I live in Rio Rancho, and they're all over out there.
It seems like about 15 or so years ago, starting around then, we started to see more Turkestan roaches that began to overtake the population here, and they just don't know any boundaries. They able to take flight and just set up camp anywhere. So it's definitely not localized to older parts of town anymore.
Boundaryless roaches.
So what are some things
violated my boundaries before?
What are some things I think we can have tell people to inform them to help cut back on the roaches coming in their house and stuff?
Yeah.
They're never going to solve the problem, right? They're everywhere, but to keep them from coming in their house, what we worry about, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I sound like a broken record, but again, making sure you've got good seals in your doors, screens on the window to keep them from crawling in. But yeah, absolutely. Over-the-counter pesticides around the doors outside actually works pretty well. Having a gun, if you have a pest control company, it'll come out and spray around not only the outside of the house, but also the places where they're actually actively living.
The harbridges.
Yeah, the fence lines. People don't think about that. Maybe underneath the patio.
Water meters,
absolutely. Yeah. So there's a lot of places where you can take the fight to them versus waiting for them to come to the house.
Yeah, and in my experience, I think of all the pests that over-the-counter products work the best on is just regular, occasional invading cockroaches,
I think that's
roaches,
right.
Oriental roaches, those type of roaches. That place in that barrier where the harbridges are. People have bark, bushes around their house where there's moisture, rip lines. Roaches love that, and that's. I think it works really, really effective on those.
Yeah, and you don't have to use sprays too. There's some pretty effective granular baits that you can put out in mulch and the rock landscaping that they'll go and feed on at night, and that does work pretty well too.
We got some questions from our mailbag here. The first one, reader's asking, how can you humanely get rid of bugs, understanding that they're an important part of our ecosystem, which they definitely are, and we understand that. We usually just want to try and keep them from occupying the same exact space that we do and causing, either health problems or discomfort for us. So a lot of what we talked about earlier as far as like go ahead. I mean, sorry,
yeah, I think that's great. There are a lot of bugs that don't pose any danger to people at all or our pets, and they're just out there living their 6 or 8-legged lives out in and around our homes. So I personally, we have jumping spiders that hang out in the sunroom, and if I can keep them away from the cats, we always try to get them.
Are you a cat person?
I have a couple cats. Yep, and we just enjoy them. They're part of the wildlife around Albuquerque, and if you would prefer to relocate a bug versus to squash it or spray it, I think there's nothing wrong with that. You can use a piece of paper, a tissue, take it outside, and just let it carry on. I wouldn't recommend people try to handle black widow spiders or scorpions or centipedes, but beyond that, I mean, there's really not much out there that's a danger to people.
Yeah, the one that comes to mind for me is bees. And bees are very beneficial, and
yes,
and they don't become a problem until they invest a structure or something. They can potentially harm that structure or people that live there. And so that's one that definitely we want to get a beekeeper involved and relocate those to somewhere else. So
absolutely, that's the first thing we do whenever we get a call about bees in and around somebody's home, and we identify that they have a hive on their house. We want to make sure, is it possible to get a beekeeper out there and safely relocate the hive and save the pollinators? Absolutely, that's a big priority.
We got another question here. This will be a fun one. Who would win in a fight between a scorpion and a black widow?
Oh, I'd put my money on the scorpion. Yeah, those pincers can keep that spider at bay, I would imagine. I mean, I haven't seen the tape on that one, but that would be my guess.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we get a lot of scorpions around here. I think some people live in some parts of town where you don't really see them, and they are unaware of how prevalent scorpions are. But if you live in Rio Rancho, you'll see a lot of them. It's interesting, there's a pocket in the Northeast Heights, I would say, like between Tramway and Wantabo, and like Indian School and Comanche, and there's a bunch of black widows there. I mean, sorry, a bunch of scorpions, and it's strange. You don't see them anywhere else generally in the Heights, but they're there. But you can treat for them as well.
Yeah, some people have questions about humane stuff, and some people have questions about masochistic stuff.
That's right.
Another question we got here is those children of the earth, those really ugly bugs. What about those?
They're actually a cricket, the Jerusalem cricket, and they have a big bulbous head and scary-looking mandibles. They look like they could tear your finger off. But they're harmless. Again, they may pinch you defensively if you try to handle them, but they're just part of the ecosystem. Just let them be. But they do have sort of a mythos, right? You know, sort of a unwarranted chupacabra type of. I don't know what the word is. Sorry,
attitude. Yes. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at one, they definitely looks like something that somebody would design if they were wanting to frighten you.
Yeah, they a type of xenomorph, maybe.
You're right.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that most bugs that people are afraid of, like especially spiders, and you know, they're actually beneficial. They're getting rid of a lot of little bugs you don't want in your house. That's what they're doing. They're predators out looking for the earwigs or other little things that will bug you in your house more, right? And most spiders and stuff like that, and especially Jerusalem crickets, they're not looking to get in your house. They just kind of end up there. Got carried in there. Or they're chasing, another bug in there or something, looking for some type of harborage. But they like being outside where their food is, right?
Yeah, and there's so many insects and other arthropods that are like that. We've got the desert centipede. We have what people call a wind scorpion, the sulfugid. These types of pests that really look dangerous and aggressive. Vinegaroons up in the heights is another one. They look terrifying, but once you understand their biology, you realize that they're not a danger at all, and they're just living their lives. Our houses are just kind of in the way in many ways.
Well, thanks again, Mike, for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll have to have you back out.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
You got a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience that we appreciate having. And if something's bugging you, please drop us a line at abqjournal.com/bugs. If you want to see this podcast, it's available to see on YouTube or abqjournal.com. And if you want to hear it, it's available on Spotify, SoundCloud, or iTunes. And we'll be happy to answer any questions you have, and we'll try our best to get the answer to you. Thank you so much, and see you next time.